Peace and blessings, everybody. It's May the 1st, Tuesday, the year 2019. And a letter has made its way out of the hellhole known as the Terre Haute, Indiana CMU, run by an absolute wicked devil named Warden J.R. Bell. The letter is from America's most provably innocent political prisoner. He is a prisoner of war. His name is David Hinkson. He has medical and engineering inventions which will change the world. I truly believe that. I believe he is a genius, and they have to keep David Hinkson quiet. And every communication that we receive from David is precious because I think they're trying to kill him. I think they're trying to kill David Hinkson. And so when we get a piece of communications out of that hellhole, it's precious because we don't know if it's the last one. And the next video, I may be announcing that David is gone and we no longer have him here on earth because they killed him. He is a prisoner of war captured by the enemy. They relocated him from USP McCreary in Kentucky to a CMU where the warden has already banned me from communicating with anybody at that prison, and they allowed, if not coordinated, the murder of Robert David Neal in November of 2018. Robert David Neal had pending litigation against the prior BOP director named Charles E. Samuels Jr. And there was previous retaliation and harassment of Robert David Neal where he was beaten, and hospitalized because of his legal actions against the BOP. And because he would not stop his legal actions, they allowed, in my opinion, and coordinated a murder from the Muslim portion of the CMU. And now Robert David Neal is dead. And that now they've moved David Hinkson, America's most provably innocent political prisoner, who is an absolute genius that could help the world, into the same prison where Robert David Neal was murdered, into the same prison where they keep Schaefer Cox, into the same prison where they keep Montana Freeman Russell Landers, into the same prison where Kurt Johnson is kept. And they've banned me from communicating with anybody. When I say they, I'm talking about the wicked son of Belial, reprobate Warden J.R. Bell, who I pray that God brings divine justice on every day. When I wake up and I want to write a letter to Schaefer, or I want to write a letter to Montana Freeman Russell Landers, or I want to write a letter to Kurt Johnson, or now when I want to write a letter to David Hinkson and I can't because some bureaucrat warden decided that I cannot with no valid reason whatsoever, I get angry. And I pray that God deals with this situation, and I pray that God brings Warden J.R. Bell in divine judgment. That's what I pray for. But having said that, we've got a piece of communication from David Hinkson. And I don't know when it's going to be his last one. Do you know that David Hinkson's friend told me that he's in severe pain? The last time he talked to him, which was only a few days ago, he's allowed 2 phone calls a week. And he called his friend, and his friend said that David Hinkson is in severe abdominal pain, needing medical help, but he's not receiving it. He thinks they may have poisoned him. See, when I call him a political prisoner, I don't even think that's a valid phrase anymore. David Hinkson, Schaefer Cox, Russell Landers, and Kurt Johnsons are prisoners of war. We are at war with evil, and evil thinks it's okay to murder prisoners. Evil thinks it's okay to send innocent men to prison for the rest of their life. Evil thinks it's okay to make up evidence and to use known false, perjured, lying testimony from pedophiles. When they come for you, what are you going to do? Are you going to let them throw you in a hellhole prison and rape and torture you and poison you and put you in isolation for months on end, sever all of your communications with your friends? Is that what we're all going to do? Just lay down and let evil run over the world while they murder our brothers and sisters in prison? I'll get off my soapbox now, and we'll get on to the letter from David Hinkson, because I don't know when the last time I'll ever hear from him. This could be the last letter we ever hear from David Hinkson. I pray that's not the case. I pray that God intervenes in this situation and that men and women begin to speak up, and we shut down those CMU prisons, and all of the political prisoners get set free. That's what I pray for. And the people that are running them and the people that are committing the torture be held accountable. People like John Brennan, who use phrases like enhanced interrogation techniques. He's made it acceptable for the American people and for government workers to perform torture on people just by calling it a fancy name. Enhanced interrogation techniques. This letter is from David Hinkson. I pray you listen closely, because we don't know when this will be the last one. I am now in Indiana in what they call CMU. Isn't that amazing that they moved David Hinkson to the CMU? Just amazing. The warden's name is Mr. Bell. My counselor's name is Miss ISL. In December 13th, the SIS officer, Jay Duncan, shut off all my accounts, as no phone, no commissary, no money, no hygiene, no true links. At that time, he said that if you make just one call, you will be thrown into the shoe. So I did not even call you for Christmas. Then, on January the 13th, 2019, they threw me into the shoe. I still had no shot. Then about the end of February, Jay Duncan wrote up a 100 series shot and accused me of working with Rudy to steal money using a fraudulent Bitcoin scheme. That's an outright lie. Then it's a lie that we were trying to steal money in a fraudulent scheme. I then mailed this shot to Rudy. Rudy has the shots. Then Rudy wrote a letter to the Attorney General and the Warden Stevens at McCreary. I also demanded that Rudy be called as a witness, so they rewrote the shot, making it a 200 series, so that they would not have to have a hearing. Then they wrote me a shot for damaging a sheet, $2, and used this attack to shut off my phone. Then they wrote up a shot saying that I had my cellie send an email to Rudy and gave so-and-so a shot also. I never asked him to send this email, and he just informed Rudy that I had wrongfully lost even my hygiene. This is illegal. Thus, they used this attack to shut off my TrueLinks for 6 months. For those of you that don't know, TrueLinks is a prison email system. Note, it took Jay Duncan 3 months to come up with his lies. As I sat in the shoe for 3 months, the guards come by many times and made racial slurs at me. They moved their lips, mouthing nigger lover at me. A black guy named in my unit had traveled to the hospital on December the 16th, 2018, as he was having chest pains. Jay Duncan had mouthed me racial slurs for 4 straight hours during the whole trip, there and back. It turns out that Jay Duncan is in the Klan and is a high wizard, and was saying that he is upset about Stephen Broden going to the White House to help cure black people. He stated that all black people need to die of AIDS. Therefore, all this was done to me based on racial hate. Thus, all that Jay Duncan wrote about me in shots was provable lies. The CMU unit was built in 1936. It has been condemned. It has some lead in the water. It has asbestos, no air conditioning, with mold, and the smell of mold is everywhere. It was built as a death row housing. There are only 30 prisoners in total. These prisoners are considered to be terrorists. There is no hot water for showers. ADX was paradise compared to this place. The CMU is a private hellhole. There is no visits allowed. As to visit, you talk on the phone. The DOJ has not even gotten permission to fund this project, according to Rudy's letter. They only allow 2 calls a week instead of 300 minutes. And I have been attempting to get permission to call you. Therefore, the only thing that I found to be okay here is that most of the prisoners are smart, and some are totally innocent like me. So far, I met a member of the... Also, Rudy's friend is here. Therefore, while I was in the shoe at McCreary, I got a letter from Rudy. In this letter was a letter from the Chilcotin Native Tribe in Canada. It would seem that this ex parte letter was directed to the court here, demanding my release to go to Canada and then France, as I'm now the ambassador to France. I have not received my property yet. I now believe Rudy has the original. I know what to do with this letter, and I need you to have it mailed to me again as fast as possible. Dennis can use this ambassador letter to show his Chinese ambassador friend. Now here is what is interesting, as it would seem that my got the same appointment from the Chilcotin tribe, but he is the ambassador for Ireland. Then he submitted it to the court, and after 11 years in the CMU, he left here and is gone. 2 weeks, whatever that means. I'm told that I cannot mail any more of my patent drawings. I had something to send me. Some of these words are very difficult to read. I had something to send me, and I will see what happens. I met a prisoner who got rid of 2 life sentences by suing to get his FOIAs answered, and now under new evidence. He offered to help me get my evidence, and I gave him your information. He wants a total of $200 to do the lawsuits. He mailed in 4 FOIAs already. The FBI said they have 1,500 pages for me, and they had 2,000 pages for the witness. But they say he is protected. But I was assured that he would get all of this information from the VA, Veterans Affairs, including Veterans Administration, from the VA, including the medical records, as the witness was put on trial for stealing these files, and that makes them public. Any new evidence found within these FOIA files would get me released. For example, if the records show even the FBI knew the witness was in a coma when he said July, I would get released. I was given the name of a company that will do the FOIAs, each for $2. Here is the information: Research Assistant, P.O. Box 423-471, Kissimmee, Florida 34742. Therefore, at this time, we have mailed FOIAs to the FBI for me and witnessed the Veterans Administration for witness medical records and the IRS. Now I got a letter from the Department of Justice asking for $40 to put the 1,500 pages on a CD, and they were told to mail the CD to Rudy. I will get you the account number when I get it, so you can send them the $40. Rudy can then email these records to all of my friends to look for evidence we need. I need to know you have thanked Broden. Also, the Innocence Project in New York wrote me and offered to help me. Please contact them. I also need Stephen Broden's mailing address so I can write him a letter, and he needs to help figure out how to accept TrueLinks on his computer. I now also need to have a copy of my 9th Circuit successive 2255, the 6th Circuit 2241, and appellate brief, and a copy of my current pending 2241 brief that is filed with the Justice Roberts in the U.S. Supreme Court, sent to me. Note, I mailed copies of all this to Rudy, as Rudy has has my case files. Also, my friend from Montana is friends with Chuck Grassley. Note, Rudy has complained to the Attorney General about me going to the CMU. I no longer have this letter as I mailed it to the Innocence Project. I need this letter again. I now could use an extra $100 per month as we have to now pay for more things that used to be free. Note, I was given 30 days to pay this $40. We need to probably file a lawsuit to get 50% of these, to get something, I can't read the word, to get something of these FOIA records. Pastor Stefan Broden or you could now take this appointment of diplomatic immunity to President Trump or Chan or Malcolm Magoo to provide him with an excuse to provide the pardon now. Note, Malcolm is Beth's friend who is now working with President Trump to divide California into 2 states, and his wife clerks at the Supreme Court, and his friend now works within the White House and has daily access to the president. You can now use the enclosed letter as a format and put my diplomatic information on it and use it and mail it back to me ASAP. Therefore, this diplomatic immunity would provide the president with the excuse he now needs to move forward. Also, I'm told that if we can get both of the Swisher's affidavits that were notarized, recorded, they could be used as new evidence. You could also take Rudy's lead and complain to the Attorney General, and you could do a story about the CMU. Therefore, get Rudy's Attorney General letter and send it here again, and I will enclose it with my BP-10 complaint, as all shots have Rudy's name on them. It would seem that they are attacking me for what they perceive Rudy did. Note, I have always had points so low I should have gone to a camp, 3 points. Therefore, they canceled sending me to the medium to be near you to send me to this CMU unit. Also, you need to inform Pastor Broden about the racial hatred, and maybe he can get a 3rd visit to push for the pardon. Therefore, it is this hate that drives Jay Duncan to attack me. Note, I now have to spend $50 a month to buy drinking water that is lead-free. Note, Guy Wilson has Swisher's new affidavit. Please send $50 to Antonio for a couple of months so he finishes my FOIAs. Also, please send me $50 a month for now. I will try to call you soon. Please get diplomatic papers from Rudy and do what you can. Your friend Dave. He goes on to include a letter. This was the letter sent to the court and others. And then there's a letter. So I'm going to include this letter on David Hinkson's webpage. Listen, we're at war whether you know it or not. And our innocent brothers and sisters, the best and brightest among the patriot community, the best and brightest Christians, the most charismatic, those with incredible inventions, those with incredible minds, are being targeted by our enemy. They are being moved to secret prisons where they can control all of their communications. Do you understand what's going on? We're at war. David Hinkson, Schaefer Cox, Russell Landers, and Kurt Johnson are prisoners of war. Robert David Neal is a casualty of war. And if the American people doesn't wake up and realize that the Department of Justice, the FBI, the Bureau of Prisons, the entire judicial system has been weaponized against the American people, then you're going to fall and spiral into an abyss of tyranny. Alexander Solzhenitsyn wrote about this scenario in a book called The Gulag Archipelago. It's going on right now in America. And you think, well, it's not happening to me. It's not happening to me. Why do I care? You should care. Because when they're targeting the best and brightest in our community, it's not long before they take all of us out. I can't tell you how disturbing this is. And we should lift up the name of David Hinkson, Schaefer Cox, Russell Landers, and Kurt Johnson before the throne room of God. Please keep all 4 of those men in an illegal hellhole prison run by a son of Belial, Warden J.R. Bell, and call the Attorney General, call the Inspector General, call your governor, write a letter to President Trump, Tell the news media. My phone number is 972-839-9848. Let me say that again, 972-839-9848. If you have questions about any of those men, we will get you the answers. More than likely, we already know the answers to any of the questions that you have because we've done a lot of research already. But if we don't know the answers, we will try to get you the answers. I'm not asking that you take my word for it that we have an illegal, secret, hellhole CMU prison. I'm not asking that you take my word for it that these men are innocent and they're targets of a bad, wicked FBI and DOJ. I'm asking that you look into it for yourself. We've got the evidence. Look into it. Realize what's going on. Thank you for your time.